Dear friends, I want to wish you endless happiness, love, and prosperity. May each new day bring warmth to your hearts and confidence for tomorrow. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so, because it means the world to me and it only takes a few seconds. Today, I am going to share a story that changed my life. A story about how what appeared to be a blissful marriage, built on dreams of the future, turned out to be nothing more than an illusion. My story is a tale of betrayal, pain, and fear, but also one of rebirth and hope. I want to begin with the most dramatic moment, the day my life shattered into 1,000 pieces. I stood before the massive wooden door of a country house, my heart pounding as if it might burst from my chest and my hands trembling with an indescribable terror. Through the slightly drawn curtains, I witnessed a scene that paralyzed me. On worn leather furniture, in the dim light of late afternoon, lay Andre and an unfamiliar woman, both naked, their bodies conveying a passion I never expected to see in my own home. The woman, with a glimmer in her eyes and a subtle smile, was brushing back her silky hair, while Andre, lost in his own world, softly whispered words to her that made my blood run cold. In that moment, everything inside me turned upside down. My inner voice screamed, "How can this be? How could you betray our family?" All the memories of our happy evenings, the quiet walks at the cottage, and dreams of children suddenly crashed down on me with overwhelming force. I was flooded with fear, anger, pain, and disappointment, feelings I had never known before. I found myself standing on the threshold of a new, unexplored reality, where everything I had considered sacred and reliable was revealed as nothing more than a fragile facade. I will describe in detail, down to every nuance of that sexual scene, the moment-by-moment experience of this betrayal, in a future installment. Expect revelations and details that will send shivers down your spine, so please, stay tuned. Now, let me take you back to the beginning, the days when it all started. I was a simple teacher, full of dreams and hopes, when I first met Andre, a confident, charismatic realtor who promised me a world where every dream could come true. I remember how his gaze made me forget all my worries, how his words brought comfort and instilled in me a belief in a better future. Our meetings were full of romance, laughter, and tenderness, and I wholeheartedly believed that our union was eternal, that together we would build a strong, happy home. And everything seemed perfect, until the little details began to ring warning bells of an impending storm. A small, unfamiliar scarf found in his car, a sudden change in his phone password, the disappearance of call logs. All of these started to form a frightening picture of betrayal. Then came the phone call from a neighbor who mentioned she had seen his car near an abandoned house on the outskirts. In that moment, anxiety and suspicion boiled within me. I knew that behind every property showing lay something far more sinister. Reflecting on that day, I realized how everything changed in an instant. A world opened before me, where lies and deceit overpowered the seemingly unbreakable bonds of love. I stood on the doorstep of shattered happiness, feeling my soul torn apart by pain and my mind unable to accept that harsh reality. Every second stretched into an eternity filled with bitter questions. Why? How could you? My inner voice cried out to the silent sky. That encounter at the open door became a turning point in my life, the beginning of a long, painful journey, but also one of profound self-discovery. It was then I understood that even in the darkest night, a single ray of light can lead us to a new beginning. And although the pain of betrayal seemed unbearable, I felt a stirring inside, a desire to break free from the chains of lies and deceit. I remember it as if it were yesterday, on a cool autumn day, when fate brought us together. I was young, full of hope and dreams, and I truly believed in a love capable of performing miracles. In school, I was known for my kindness and warmth, yet beneath that exterior lay a yearning for true romance, a longing for a partner to share every moment with, from morning coffee to quiet evenings under the stars. It happened at a city event where people from all walks of life had gathered by chance. I remember how my eyes first met his confident gaze when André, energetic and charming, approached me with a smile that instantly melted the ice around my heart. His voice was deep and warm, and every word he spoke felt like a promise of a new life. We began talking, and I knew I had found the one I had been searching for all my life. A person capable of giving me the assurance of a better tomorrow. "You know," he said with a tender smile, "life is full of surprises, and every encounter is a gift from fate." I replied, feeling my heart swell with joy. "Yes, and I believe this gift can change me forever." Those words have stayed with me as a symbol of the great changes that lay ahead. We quickly found common ground, discussing books, music, and dreaming of travel. Every meeting, whether a leisurely walk in the park or an evening spent over a hot cup of tea in a cozy cafe, felt magical. In his presence, I felt free to be myself, unburdened by masks or pretense. Our early relationship was filled with mutual tenderness and care. Every morning began with his kiss to wake me up, and every evening ended with quiet conversations about our future. A home filled with laughter, children running through our rooms, and evenings spent by the fireplace, reminiscing about the days gone by. Those memories still bring a smile to my face, even though behind that idyllic scene was a small, almost imperceptible shadow. We spent weekends at the cottage, embraced by the calm of nature. The air carried the fresh scent of cut grass, and a gentle breeze whispered the secrets of falling autumn leaves. I listened to his warm voice speaking about our future, and I believed our love was an eternal flame that would never be extinguished. Over time, I began to notice small things that made my heart race with anxiety. It started with minor changes that I tried to ignore, attributing them to fatigue or coincidence. But my inner voice kept insisting, "Right." One evening, as I was returning home from class, I looked inside André's car and discovered a scarf I had never seen before. It was exquisite, bearing the logo of an upscale boutique, and it immediately raised questions in my mind. Why is this scarf here? Whose is it? I tried to dismiss it as a misunderstanding at first, but then other oddities began to appear. I was shocked when André started changing his phone password more frequently. What had once been an open book to me had become a mysterious safe, as if he were hiding something precious and inaccessible. And then the call history and messages disappeared, only fueling my suspicions. I felt as though I was standing on the edge of a precipice, with every small detail warning me that my life was about to change forever. I remember one evening when the coolness of night crept into every corner of the house and the phone rang. Our neighbor's calm, even tone said, "Olia, your Andre is at the cottage today. I saw his car near an abandoned house on the outskirts." Those words shattered my fragile calm. I felt a chilling cold spread within me, and my thoughts swirled like a vortex of doubts. Then came the morning of that fateful day when all my suspicions took shape. I woke up early, but sleep clung to me like a shadow. Inside, fear and determination battled as I felt my soul contract in anticipation of looming disaster. My heart pounded in rhythm with my anxious thoughts. Today I will learn the truth, no matter how painful it may be. Gathering every ounce of strength, I headed toward the cottage where, I had learned, Andre was holding a meeting. A storm of emotions surged within me: fear, anger, pain, and a strange desire to understand what had led us to this moment. Driving past familiar streets, I tried not to imagine what lay ahead, but every turn and every detail of the landscape seemed to herald impending doom. When I finally arrived at the country house, I slowed down, trying to gather my scattered thoughts. My heart beat so loudly, I almost heard it as I approached the window. What I saw will forever haunt my nightmares. Before my eyes unfolded a scene I could never have imagined. Andre, the man with whom I had shared dreams and hopes, was lying on a sofa with a young woman. Their naked bodies embodied a forbidden desire, and every gesture, every glance spoke of a passion I had never dreamed of. For a moment, I froze, unable to comprehend what I was witnessing. All my inner screams and pleas merged into a deafening silence. I couldn't make out their faces, yet I felt the crushing weight of betrayal. My inner voice screamed, "How could you? How could you do this to me?" And every fibre of my being shattered as if struck by a hammer. I recalled every moment when Andre had promised me fidelity, when his words had warmed my soul and given me the strength to go on. All those promises now rang hollow, like drowned echoes in a vast emptiness. The memories of our happy days collided with the bitter truth, and I began to see that our entire life together was nothing but an illusion, a meticulously crafted facade to hide the reality of his infidelity. In that moment, as I watched them, every detail around me, from the dim light of the setting sun to the soft murmur of the wind, became a symbol of loss. I heard Andre whispering softly into her ear, while her gentle laughter seemed to mock me. Scattered on the floor were remnants of clothing: his shirt, her skirt, high-heeled shoes, each a stark reminder that my life was falling apart. Inside, I felt an icy grip of pain. Why didn't I see this sooner? Why did I believe every word he said? These questions tore at me, making my heart ache with an unbearable force. Every second felt like an eternity, laden with torment and despair. I stood there, motionless, as if caught in a trance between the past and the present. In my mind, images of our happiest moments swirled, now tainted by the bitter hues of betrayal. Part of me longed to destroy everything that once bound us, to cast him aside, to discard all his belongings, to shut the door on our past. Yet another part clung to the memories of love and promises that once fueled my strength. This inner conflict was excruciating. I searched for justification, yet my mind refused to accept such blatant betrayal. Should I forgive him? Can I forgive myself for not noticing the signs? I wondered, trying to untangle the chaos of my emotions. Every thought was riddled with contradictions, while a persistent inner voice insisted, "You deserve more. You deserve a love free of lies and betrayal." But how could I ever find the strength to forgive the one who shattered everything dear to my heart? After those agonizing minutes by the window, I realized I could no longer live in a world of lies. Every glance at that scene, every word he had spoken, reminded me that I deserve the truth, even if it hurts. My inner voice grew stronger and more certain. "You are stronger than you think. Today, you will decide to break free from these chains of deception." In that moment, I understood. Forgiveness was not an option. Not because I was incapable of forgiving, but because betrayal is not a simple mistake to be forgotten. It is a deep wound that demands healing and self-care. I decided then that a life without him would mark the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter where I could reclaim my strength and independence. Gathering all my belongings, I left that house as if liberating myself from the chains that had long bound my heart. I remember, as if it were still echoing inside me, a quiet but resolute thought. "I am no longer your possession. I am the master of my own destiny." Those words shone like the first ray of sunlight after an endless night. The decision to divorce became my act of liberation, rejecting a past filled with deceit to give way to a future of genuine love and self-respect. From that day, my life changed dramatically. Each morning, as I woke, I felt a new strength budding within me, even though the wounds were still fresh. It was in that pain I began to understand that even the deepest wounds can heal, and every loss is an opportunity for a new beginning. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions, moments when I was lost in the memories of happier times, and others when the raw pain and disappointment hit me hard. In my solitude, I asked, "What now? How can I restore the faith in life that once illuminated my path?" My inner monologues became my sole solace, whispering that even if the world seemed grey and empty now, there was a glimmer of light ahead. Every time I passed the places where we once spent our time together, I felt mixed emotions, a bitterness for what was lost, and a quiet gratitude for the moments that had shaped me. These experiences became the foundation for my inner growth. I came to understand that every pain, every betrayal, is a lesson that makes us stronger and wiser. But, dear friends, it was during this period of inner turmoil that another moment made me realize that life was about to take an unexpected turn. One day, when I had started to adjust to solitude and plan for a new future, an old friend, someone I hadn't seen in years, called me. Her voice, filled with genuine care and concern, awakened in me long-forgotten feelings of warmth and support. "Olya, how are you? It's been so long. I know you've had a hard time, but believe me, after every storm comes the sun," she said, and her words touched my soul deeply. I felt as if support was reaching me through the phone line, as though life itself was saying, "You are not alone, you are strong." That conversation became a signal that new encounters, and perhaps a new love that could restore my faith in goodness, awaited me. Yet, despite her support, the storm of doubt still raged within me. How could I rebuild my life after such betrayal, when every fibre of my being remembered the pain? And how could I find the strength to forgive not only him, but also myself for letting it all happen? The memories of that fateful day continued to haunt me like an inescapable shadow. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that country house again, that scene that had shattered everything I knew about love and loyalty. But with every new thought and every breath, I realized that this moment was not the end. It was the beginning of a new path. Though betrayal left scars, those scars would remind me that I can survive, that I am capable of emerging stronger. My inner dialogues were full of questions and promises of a new life. I began recording my thoughts in a diary, where each word was a small step toward liberation. I will no longer cry, I kept telling myself. I will find the strength to love and be loved, even if the past leaves its marks. Those words became my daily mantra as I faced the mirror each morning. The day I finally decided to sever all ties with the past, I felt a spark ignite within me. The decision to divorce was not easy, but I knew that living in a world of lies and betrayal was tantamount to betraying myself. And so, gathering all my belongings, I left the house where dreams had once lived, taking the first step toward freedom. After that day, I was swept up in a whirlwind of emotions, each feeling painted in vivid color. There were moments when anger and resentment overwhelmed me and I screamed into the void, "Why me? Why didn't I see this sooner?" Yet there were also moments when deep inside, a quiet gratitude emerged for the lesson that pain had taught me, that true love and self-respect must be cherished above all else. I sought solace in solitude, wandering the autumn streets and watching nature change with my shifting emotions. In every rustle of leaves, I heard echoes of lost happiness, and in every cool breeze, a reminder that life goes on despite everything. These walks became my ritual of cleansing, a time when, stripped down to my bare self, I learned to accept my pain and let the past fade away. I must forgive myself for letting this deception happen, I whispered as I sank into reflection. Yet forgiving the one who had betrayed me seemed impossible. How can you forgive someone who shattered every promise and every dream? In that contradiction, I searched for answers, wondering if I could ever move forward without losing my soul. On one long cold evening, as rain tapped softly on the windows and my thoughts swirled like raindrops on glass, I made my final decision. I realized that forgiveness is not an act of weakness, but an opportunity to free oneself from the chains of pain. However, forgiving does not mean forgetting. It means taking responsibility for one's life and granting oneself the right to be happy. I didn't know how long it would take me to forgive him, or if I could ever truly forgive him for such a deep betrayal. But I understood that I could forgive myself for once allowing my feelings to cloud my judgment. It was a difficult decision, yet at the moment I recognized my own strength. I felt the world beginning to change. I stood up, turned to the old mirror, and in my reflection saw not only my pain, but also the determination ready to build a new life. "I deserve better," I whispered, and those words became my anchor, keeping me steady in the turbulent ocean of change. Then, just when it seemed that the pain was finally subsiding, it delivered another unexpected twist. On an ordinary day, when I had started to grow accustomed to solitude and was planning new beginnings, My phone rang. The caller's name appeared on the screen, a name I hadn't seen in years, a name I thought I would never hear again. That call signaled that the past and the future were intertwined in the most unpredictable way. The conversation began as softly as an autumn breeze, but soon deepened into a dialogue that forced me to reconsider everything. The caller revealed that he not only knew about my divorce, but also about what had happened during those fateful days. Through his words, I learned of a secret that had been hidden behind a veil of lies, a secret that could overturn everything I believed about that day. His voice was full of regret and genuine care, yet every word struck my heart, reviving memories of the pain I had long tried to forget. Olya, I know it's hard to accept, but sometimes the truth is even more bitter than the lie, he said quietly. And I felt something shift within me. That call marked a new turning point, a fresh stage in the search for truth, and perhaps a new beginning. Dear listeners, I know you already feel your hearts quicken with anticipation. I leave you on the brink of yet another shocking revelation. In the next installment, I will reveal the details that expose the true face of betrayal, how exactly the events of that fateful day unfolded, the secret motives behind them, and how, when confronted with that truth, I found the strength to make the choice that forever altered my life. Thank you for joining me on this journey and for listening to every detail of my story. Please subscribe to my channel and share this tale with those you love, for every story, whether mine or yours, is a step toward understanding ourselves and embracing life in all its complexity. Stay tuned for more revelations, more raw emotions, and believe me, what you'll hear next will make your heart beat faster. I remember how after that call, I sat in the half-light of my small room, every sound from the outside world amplified to the extreme. Around me, silence reigned, broken only by the soft tapping of rain on the window, and that silence was filled with echoes of his words that refused to leave my broken heart. His voice, though quiet, carried such depth and compassion that I felt as if someone had finally reached out a helping hand in this ocean of pain. He explained that that fateful day was not a mere accident, but a meticulously planned act of betrayal, concealing motives far more insidious than I could have imagined. His words penetrated my very core, leaving me to wonder how my life, once so reliable and sincere, could have been so cruelly deceived. I listened, holding my breath, as every word resonated within me, sparking a storm of emotions I had long tried to suppress. Inside, a battle raged. One part of me wanted to end the call and forget everything, while another, exhausted and worn, yearned for the truth, even if it only brought more pain. "Why must I endure this pain?" I murmured, as the stranger's voice replied, "You deserve to know the truth, Olya. Only then can you find the strength to move on." His words were soft, almost like a comforting whisper, yet behind them lay not only care, but also a trace of bitterness I knew all too well. Seated in an old leather armchair, I tried to piece together the fragments of his story. He recounted that the day I saw them together at the country house was the culmination of a long chain of lies. He explained that Andrei had long ceased to be the man I once knew, and that his infidelity was not a spur-of-the-moment lapse, but part of a carefully orchestrated plan. There was a certainty in his tone, as if he could see right through the entire affair, knowing every hidden corner of it and revealing details I could never have imagined. With each word he spoke, I felt not only anger, but also a strange, painful relief. The truth, however bitter, was finally emerging, and I could no longer live in a world of illusions. I remember my hands trembling as I unconsciously clenched them into fists, trying to hold back a surge of emotion. The caller mentioned that on that day, every sign was unmistakable. The changed phone password, the vanished call logs, the mysterious scarf left in the car. All were parts of a scheme André had desperately tried to hide. He said it had all begun long before that fateful evening, and that the betrayal was not an isolated incident, but merely the tip of an iceberg concealing unresolved secrets of his soul. Every word he uttered felt like a revelation, each statement making my heart tighten with pain and disbelief. Even as he described how that day marked a turning point, I couldn't help but recall the image that had haunted me ever since, the image of André and that unknown woman. I saw their naked bodies, heard their soft whispers, and the gentle laughter that crushed my hopes for eternal love. And in that moment, I wondered, how could I have been so blindly convinced that our connection was real when it turned out to be nothing more than a beautifully crafted illusion meant to hide betrayal? After that call, sleep eluded me. Sitting in darkness, my thoughts drifted between painful memories and these new revelations. I recalled every detail: the cold scent of rain infiltrating my room, the soft rustle of old curtains as faint streetlight filtered through. These sounds and images merged with my inner turmoil, forming a surreal kaleidoscope of pain, anger, loss, and faint glimmers of hope. Every sensation resonated deep within my soul, reminding me that I stood at a crossroads, faced with the choice between the past and the future. For hours I lay there, clutching a pillow, trying to make sense of everything I had heard. The caller's words echoed relentlessly, like droplets washing away years of accumulated dust and delusion. I began to sift through every event in my mind, searching for an answer to the agonizing question: how could everything I held so dear be nothing but an illusion? Memories of happy times with André merged with new painful truths, and I realized that now I had to learn not only to mourn my loss, but to live with the truth. My internal dialogue was endless. You deserve more. You are strong. Do not let this pain eclipse the light within you. And those words gave me the strength to begin healing, even though the road ahead was riddled with thorns. As the night dragged on, I increasingly felt that change was beginning inside me. The realization that André was not who I thought he was struck me like lightning, yet it also sparked a catalyst for a new beginning. I knew I could no longer live in a world where lies imprisoned every fragment of my soul. That bitter realization, as harsh as medicine, enabled me to finally decide to break free from the chains of betrayal and start seeking my own truth. When the first rays of dawn finally crept into my room, I sensed something new stirring within me. The tears on my cheeks had dried, replaced by a cold, determined resolve. I rose, walked over to my desk, and opened an old notebook that had long gathered dust on the shelf. At first, my words were hesitant and fragmented, but soon they flowed freely, as if every written thought eased my pain, offering a small measure of comfort. I wrote about what I had seen, what I had heard, about how I had once believed in a lie. And now, step by step, I was beginning to understand that true strength is born during the most challenging trials. Sitting at that desk, I recalled the soothing voice that had comforted me in my darkest hour, and I realized that truth, even when bitter, paves the way to freedom. I began questioning long-hidden doubts. How could I have been so blindly trusting? How did I miss that the love I thought was eternal was merely a beautiful illusion? Yet, along with these questions came answers that filled me with hope. Yes, I was betrayed. Yes, I endured immense pain. But that pain became a lesson that taught me to value myself, to honor my feelings, and never again to allow anyone to deceive my heart. The days that followed that fateful night became a period of deep self-reflection and re-evaluation of life. Every morning I woke with renewed determination, feeling that slowly a strength was being forged within me, one capable of overcoming any trial. Walks in the rain, long conversations with friends, and quiet evenings with a book helped me reconnect with myself, teaching me to live again while embracing both the past and the future. In those moments, when it felt as if the sting of betrayal still seared my heart, I allowed myself to remember every experience, every small detail etched into my memory, and I transformed them into fuel for change. My inner voice persisted. You are strong. You deserve true happiness, genuine love, and respect. Those words became my silent mantra when the world seemed determined to overwhelm me. I learned to see beauty even in the darkest moments, looking at the world through the lens of my loss. I began noticing how the soft light of dawn broke through the clouds, how a fresh breeze carried the scent of spring flowers, and how the smiles of strangers could warm even the coldest heart. Each of these moments reminded me that life continues, that after pain comes liberation and renewal. Thus, step by step, I learned to forgive, not to forget, but to release the heavy burden that had long chained my heart. I forgave not only André, but also myself for the times I was too blind to see the signs, for not realizing that true love cannot thrive on deceit. In that process, I understood that every wound is not just a mark of loss, but also an opportunity to learn to love oneself even more deeply. And so, after weeks during which the world gradually filled with new colors, I began to rebuild my life. Though the road was winding, I walked it with the knowledge that every mistake, every betrayal had shaped the person I am today. My inner voice was no longer filled with anger and pain. It had become a quiet yet steady reminder that I was capable of so much more, that I could open a new world where sincerity and self-love reigned supreme. Each new day brought small joys, a morning cup of coffee, conversations with loved ones, books that offered comfort and inspiration. These moments became anchors, keeping me afloat when the past threatened to overwhelm me. I learned to face my fears head-on, acknowledging them as part of my journey, yet refusing to let them define my life. In the quiet of evening, as darkness settled, and I sometimes sat by the window watching a star-filled sky whisper endless possibilities, I was reminded that despite all the hardships, the universe goes on, and so do I, with new dreams and hopes. I came to see that the past is not a chain that holds me back, but rather the steps that lead to a new beginning. With time, I began to view my story not as a tragedy, but as a long, painful, and ultimately necessary journey towards self-discovery and inner freedom. Every page in my diary, every thought penned in the silence of the night, became a brick in the foundation of my new life. I found the strength to look forward, believing that ahead of me lay a love built on mutual respect and honesty, a love with no room for lies or betrayal. And now, when I look back on the path that once seemed unbearably hard and filled with pain, I see not only my losses, but also the strength that enabled me to endure, overcome every trial, and begin a new life. I am grateful for every day, every minute, even those that brought pain, because they made me stronger, wiser, and ready to open my heart to true love once again. Thank you for being with me on this journey. Your attention, support, and understanding mean more to me than words can express. I believe that every story, whether mine or yours, carries a lesson, a chance for renewal, and an opportunity to become the best version of ourselves. May your life be filled with more light, warmth, and genuine love, and may every loss lead to a new beginning.